Hi everyone. Okay, hi, I'm Lauren, and this is my CIM paper, Beyond Live, How has NT Live changed theatre consumption? Today, I will provide a number of answers to this question. I'll be exploring digital opportunity for theatre, focusing on distribution and its impact upon the traditional business models. I'll look at the challenges facing theatre as it enters a digital future, and discuss our roles as arts managers in an increasingly unpredictable world. I am using the National Theatre's NT Live project to explore these issues. So, why digital, and how has digitalisation affected theatre consumption? Because, in recent years we have experienced a digital revolution, and as a result the creative industries have a potential to flourish as never before. Digital developments and media proliferation are changing the ways in which the arts are financed, produced, distributed and consumed. The historical barriers to access are beginning to tumble, and there is greater choice for arts consumers. So for example, at one time you could only consume a film at a cinema, but now you can buy one on DVD, you can watch it on TV, download it or stream it online through sites like Netflix. The options for consumption are endless. So, old and new media collide. The old media are not dying, but assuming new shapes and configurations. They find themselves shifted by the dynamic forces of new technologies and the changing habits of audiences. But what about theatre? After all, it survives by selling the live nature of its experiential product. Well, digital innovation and technologies are the primary drivers of change, both in consumer expectations and behaviour. Today, audiences expect more customer-oriented service, and because of this, new business models are emerging. The Arts Council England recognised 4 development opportunities in their 2008 to 2011 policy document, Great Art for Everyone. The first was digital opportunity. They say, digital media technologies are affecting every aspect of a society, economy and culture. We can now connect with audiences in new ways, bringing them into a closer relationship with the arts and creating new ways for them to take part. Responding to this change will lead to the development of new business models, new networks and new forms of creativity. Regularly funded arts organisations were requested to have a digital strategy in place by 2011. But why was this a priority? Well, as Marcus Romer said at the RSA State of the Arts conference, the platforms have changed. The genie is out of the bottle, and it's certainly not going to go back in. We are not going into an analogue age. Digital is here to stay, whether we like it or not. So, the platform I'm exploring is digital distribution of theatre. The National Theatre, one of the UK's most prominent publicly funded arts organisations, grasped the opportunity and embraced digital distribution. NT Live is a groundbreaking initiative, broadcasting the best of British theatre live to cinema screens around the world. It was launched as a genuine experiment, copying the New York Met Opera's example. They had triumphed in their live cinema broadcasts, but significant questions remained. Could the essence of theatre be successfully captured in this way? Well, on the 25th of June 2009, Racine's Greek tragedy Phédre marked the first NT Live production, but also the first piece of theatre to be broadcast in this way in the UK. The National Theatre said, "We felt strongly that we needed to create a model which would be financially sustainable long term." And that they did. Phédre, starring Helen Mirren, was broadcast to cinemas worldwide. 50,000 people saw the production as it was performed that evening, literally transforming the National Theatre's reach overnight. Andrew Dixon, a journalist for The Guardian, said, "Live performance has experienced a revolution. From being a unique experience shared by one group of people, it has become a form of mass participation." The National Theatre transformed the art form, taking it in a new direction beyond live. So, for those of you wondering how an NT Live production looks, here is the trailer for Danny Boyle's smash hit production Frankenstein, which is returning to cinema screens this June.
The National Theatre of Great Britain presents the smash hit Frankenstein. directed by Danny Boyle. I can create people. Playing in cinemas worldwide for a limited season from June.
You make sport with my life in the cause of science!
Benedict Cumberbatch and Johnny Lee Miller alternate roles in this electrifying stage production.
This is your universe, Frankenstein!
So, for nearly 2.5 millennia since theatre began, a traditional business model had existed, where live performance was delivered to an audience within physical viewing distance of the actors. But consuming traditional theatre in this way has always been limited by venue capacity, cost and location. NT Live, however, removes these geographical and physical restrictions. The project breaks the conventions of traditional theatre, exploring the power of a new platform for audiences across the globe. Since its launch, it has proven a huge success. There has been 4 seasons with over 14 streamed productions. The project has even seen the National Theatre collaborating with other British theatre companies, including performances from the Donmar Warehouse and the Theatre Royal Plymouth. All of this expands virtual capacity, attracting new audiences. So, we've established that the new business model breaks down barriers of access. But why? Well, on the demand side, audiences expect more customer-oriented service. Today, we all want services that are adapted to meet our lifestyles. And on the supply side, organisations use the technologies to understand the tastes, motivations and different consumption patterns of younger generations, and to respond with more inclusive approaches. Goal 3 in the Arts Council's Achieving Great Art for Everyone consultation is for more people to value and enjoy the arts. Everyone pays for the arts, so everyone should have a right to benefit. As I have already mentioned, NT Live removes physical limitations, so streaming the plays eliminates venue capacity constraints. Streaming within close proximity of potential customers eliminates potential location and travel limitations. And finally, the tickets are affordable at £10, matching the National Theatre's ticket price. It also eliminates the extra travel and accommodation costs in London if you're not from there. So, combining traditional theatre with digital media technology overcomes the barriers which have hindered potential audiences in the past. This provides the opportunities and choice for consumers to experience such theatre. NT Live is ultimately shaping and developing future theatre services, which corresponds well with the Arts Council's mission to make the arts enjoyable and relevant to people's lives, bringing the arts to people in spaces they are comfortable with, which helps reduce inequalities in arts engagement, enabling more people to value and enjoy them and deepen their relationship with current audiences. So, as we all know, our lives today are increasingly hectic, and so, to improve the access, the services must be convenient. Research by Nesta, the National Endowment for Science, Technology and the Arts, has shown that new digital technologies bring new audiences to arts organisations. NT Live has created a new and significant audience which can only interact remotely. Virtual capacity enabled the audience reach for Phédre to advance from 890 at the Littleton Theatre to over 50,000 through live streaming. New audiences from overseas and the regions were for the first time able to access the National's work conveniently. So, Nesta worked with the National Theatre and 35 of the cinemas to analyse audience reactions. They found 21% of cinema goers said they attended to see a National Theatre production, an experience which may not have been previously accessible. 90% identified proximity to the cinema venue as being important, and 32% said that the South Bank location was too far to travel. 13% attended because tickets for the theatrical performance had sold out, and 25% of Phédre attendees earned less than £20,000 a year, enabling theatre to overcome the concentration of more affluent consumer groups. So, the project appears successful amongst consumers, but what does convergence entail for an industry where at the level of cultural economy, theatre and the mass media are rivals, not partners? What differentiates live streaming from traditional cinema? Well, a general perception exists that one has to be there in order to fully enjoy a live performance. So, is moving the conventions of traditional cinema theatre into a digital age, proving difficult for an industry which survives by selling the live nature of its product as an experiential good. Well, this brings me on to art form. Does NT-live consumption fall within the theatre art form, the cinema art form, or alternatively, is it a new form of artistic experience? Well, the product being delivered is a new art form. It's the equivalent of live music against recorded music. A 3-minute single may take 3 weeks to record. A film may take 1 year to complete. But NT Live is happening in real time. It's live. Therefore, it shares some of the traditional qualities of traditional theatre. It is not cinema. But, similarly, it's not an experience of pure theatre. As Nicholas Heitner said, director of Phédre and artistic director of the National Theatre, it is not a substitute for live performance, because what we're providing is a facsimile of the live performance. The camera aesthetic is not the cinema aesthetic. It's more like an outside sports broadcast, only it's filming at theatre live. Well, people speak of the magic of live theatre, the strange elusive energy between performer and audience, the momentary collaboration necessitated by the live event, and the community forged together. Shenton, a theatre critic for the stage, believes the transmissions of plays is a second best and also second-hand experience. He says, audiences who consume the production at the cinema may capture the play live, but it is simply a record of what was seen, not what was experienced at the theatre. Therefore, it is not the same experience. The cinema experience lacks liveness and diminishes the value we give to live presence, thus lessening the quality of consumption. However, Nesta research revealed that the NT Live actually put an incredible value on the liveness or the perceived liveness of the screenings. The cinema audience actually reported higher levels of emotional engagement than those that experienced the play at the National Theatre. 88% of NT Live audience claimed to have felt an emotional response to the play, and 63% went so far as saying they felt transported to another world and lost track of time. This was compared with just 73% and 48% of theatre audiences. So, NT Live is not like traditional theatre, because the audience is not sharing the same air as the actor. But similarly, it's not like traditional cinema, because it remains exclusive to all who are watching the performance there and then. And it is this, the liveness, that differentiates live streaming from traditional cinema. 85% of cinema audiences felt real excitement because the play they were watching was taking place live. Multiple camera angles, radio mics and booms offer the audience a much more engaging and focused view on the action and emotion whilst maintaining the crucial intimacy. Shenton believes this experience is inferior because the choices of what to look at will be made for you. The content is pre-digested. However, Nicholas Heitner says, the audience advantages of clarity of sound, the close-up, and the sense that they're able to get right in there with the actors is an experience they wouldn't get on the back row of a theatre, and it is this that is highly valued in audience feedback. Holby says, a theatre experience in a cinema is better than no experience at all. She does not dispute that the cinema experience is of the same quality, but rather suggests that regardless, it is beneficial to potential audiences, arts consumers, the arts in general, and arts organisations. So, with live streaming becoming increasingly popular in all fields, it could be argued that it no longer seems necessary to be live at an event to experience it. But, as many of you will know, football attendance at the Premier League has increased over a 10-year period, despite the product being live streamed on TV. So, it seems digital engagement still very much supplements rather than replaces live experiences for most consumers. Now, having looked at the overall quality of NT Live, a key question remains. How does the individual define quality? Well, fulfillment for individuals is a completed experience according to Dewey. He identifies the arts as a domain that allows for completed experiences to happen. But what influences fulfillment when watching theatre is unique to each individual. It is therefore hard to define the NT Live experience comparing the cinema and theatre viewings. Experiences are digested by people in different ways. Their response is dependent upon their engagement, initial expectation, and their interest in the material presented. It is ultimately the public's demand for the product, which will evaluate success and future strategies. So, NT Live audiences said their experience had made it more likely that they would visit the theatre as well as live screenings in the future. Indeed, they like some aspects of it better than the real thing. But research also suggests that national theatre audiences aren't likely to desert the theatre for the cinema. However much they enjoy a live cinema broadcast, a theatre lover will always find time to visit the theatre. NT Live audiences had very different motivations for watching the performance compared to a theatre audience. A key interest, especially in the first shows, was in the delivery mechanism and the technology. They may also use this mode of delivery because it's convenient. Over a third of audiences chose screen over stage because it was close to their homes. So, at the simplest level, national theatre productions reach significantly more of the population through this method than what would otherwise be the case. The story so far suggests that we need to look right across the field of potential for digital delivery and continue to explore and experiment. We need the right content, the right modes of delivery, and the right brands. Other arts organisations have also followed suit. Cameron Mackintosh produced 25th anniversary concerts for Phantom of the Opera and Les Miserables, and similarly, the Bolshoi Ballet have also turned to digital streaming. But the NT Live model is not for every organisation. Given the substantial cost of producing material for broadcast, securing rights, covering marketing and satellite broadcast costs means it may be out of reach to all but a few international companies. DigitalTheatre.com has provided a similar service routed to private screens for the Royal Shakespeare Company, the Young Vic and others. However, David Sable wonders how long it will be before the novelty of digital transmission begins to wear thin. But it is ultimately the quality of the art and content which will form the basis of any consumer experience. To date, for the great majority of arts organisations, the impact has not been of a scale to be transformative. Nevertheless, there are signs that this is beginning to change. The Arts Council England and BBC Academy have set up a Build Digital Capacity for the Arts Fund, investing to support experimentation and develop best practice. This is as much a strategy for survival as it is for innovation. Something to think about though, if the big companies are maximising their revenue through such projects, what does this mean for the small and medium companies? Will they lose out? A key concern identified by the DCMS was a lack of leaders who felt confident debating and making decisions for digital strategy. And this is where we come in. Ultimately, it's far too early to know what the future of theatre might be in this globalised and technologised society. Arts organisations and audiences are only at the start of a journey, with digital engagement still very much supplementing rather than replacing live experiences for most consumers. I chose NT Live and theatre specifically to demonstrate the digital consequences, but it applies to every art form and every genre, and it affects everybody here in this room. It's contemporary because the consequences are happening now. Anthony Murr says, "Uncertainty is the only thing to be sure of." We don't know what the future holds, and there is confusion across all industries regarding business strategies in an unpredictable world. But Tom Peters says, we as managers must take the chaos as given and learn to thrive on it. The old single media and single markets are long gone, and consumption has changed. I thought a quote by Carl Valentin was very fitting to the current situation. He said, "In the past, even the future was better. In the past, the future appeared great, but now the future appears scary. The digital shift has happened at such a rate that the industries haven't had a chance to catch up and grasp the opportunities presented. In the past, we could all feel safe with limits, but now there aren't any limits. So, the harsh news according to Tom Peters is, this is not optional. The microchip will colonise all rote activities, and we will have to scramble to reinvent ourselves, as we did when we came off the farm and went into the factory. But the exciting news is, the reinvented you and the reinvented me will look at chaos per se as a source of market advantage." Sorry, I got that wrong. The reinvented you and the reinvented me will have no choice but to scramble and add value in some meaningful way. The winners of tomorrow will look at chaos, will deal proactively with chaos. Will look at chaos per se as a source of market advantage and not as a problem to be got around. As graduating arts and music managers, we need to get on with it, deal with the here and now, embrace change, and grasp the market opportunities presented by digitalisation. Thank you very much.
Questions for Lauren? Okay. It's a written down question.
I didn't want to forget it. I think it's a brilliant idea what they're doing, but I was just wondering how you felt about it sort of moving on. Do you think there's sort of scope for it to go online so that they can essentially do what Tom was suggesting this morning and create a paid subscription service with an online TV channel?
John.
So the question is, could this be transferred in the way that Tom was talking about this morning with his examples from sport? Could this go online and be a subscription service so we could all subscribe to NT Live, for instance, watch it on our computers or televisions at home?
At the moment, NT Live is primarily for the cinema experience. You watch it on the night that it's being performed at the Littleton or whichever theatre it's on. But as I said, digitaltheatre.com have actually set up a website which you subscribe to. I think it's more for educational purposes, where they stream productions from the Royal Shakespeare Company, the Young Vic. There was another one. They've set up this kind of platform for it to be used for educational purposes, so that has happened. I think in terms of NT Live, we don't really know what the future holds. That's what this is all about. We don't know what the future of theatre may be, but obviously we've seen it happening with all the other industries, so yeah, there's a potential for it to happen.
Joe?
I would say when football was starting to be televised, there was precautions that were put in place so that people kept on going to sport open football teams, so you can't show anything a 3 o'clock kickoff or anything like that, televised. Is there things that you could do to make sure people just didn't sack off going to the theatre and just watching when they came out of the cinema and they carried on going to the theatre?
At the minute, this is only, they have seasons and it's on, each production's on once, or they have I don't know, I think it's a 3-week period where they can show it 3 times or something at the moment. What was your question again?
Just to make sure that people carry on going to the cinema, you don't just start going to the theatre.
I think, as I said, theatre lovers will always find time to visit the theatre. I think it's more a great platform for people who perhaps wouldn't. I went to see one of these productions, I probably would have never have gone to see one at the National Theatre if I'd gone to London, because I didn't know what I was expecting, but now that I've seen it, I'm more likely to go and see one now. So I think the actual theatre lovers will always find time to go, but I think in terms of creating an interest for other people, I think it can only be an advantage, really.
Jack and then Kat. You've forgotten.
Sorry, what you're pointing out. What do you think the opportunities are to transfer this to music? Could you stream live gigs?
That's already happened. The Red Hot Chili Peppers streamed they were releasing an album, I think it was in 2010, and they created a big buzz around it and streamed the live gig in August last year, in 2010. So I think it's, definitely.
Kat?
I know there's only obviously so much you can do with cameras and stuff, so to get the best possible view for the audience in the cinema. Do you think that takes away from the actual, or manipulates the way the audience in the theatre see the actual performance as well, so you don't be taking it away from them?
No, I think it definitely takes it away, because obviously if you're sat in a theatre, you choose where you want to look. You might not want to look at the character that's in focus, you might want to look at the ensemble or whatever. So I think it definitely takes it away from the experience. But as Nicholas Heitner said, it has advantages for perhaps people who have hearing problems, or if you can't see. Obviously, the ticket price is the same price as what a seat would be on the back row. So the people on the back row wouldn't get an up and personal view. So it has its advantages, but at the same time it has its mass disadvantages, because if that's the whole point of theatre production, isn't it? You see the whole ensemble, you don't focus on one person. So I think transforming it, that's when it becomes more film rather than theatre. But this is, as I say, it's a completely new experience. It's not theatre and it's not cinema. So if you're going, you can't expect to see a theatre performance, really, because it's not that experience.
Okay, and there was a question somewhere in the middle, but it may have gone. Thanks, Holly.
Obviously, I don't know that much about the technology that they use to film it, but
but what's to stop people like a cinema, say, recording it and showing it another time? And what do you think, how the audience would react if they knew that it wasn't live, but it was filmed live, obviously, but they weren't watching it as it happened?
I think that's a risk. I think people could, obviously, that happens in everything, doesn't it? People sit in theatres at the moment and film it and then put it on YouTube and stuff for people to see. So I think it's a risk that that will happen. But also, if you go on YouTube and type in Matilda and watch some footage that someone's recorded, that may actually make you interested in going to see it in the West End. So obviously, again, it has its disadvantages, but you could see positives coming out of that, which is happening across all the industries. So it's the kind of unpredictable nature of the future that we don't know.
I think on that we'll end it. Thank you very much.